Welcome back for a new collections video. This time I thought I'd look at my animated movie collection. Now keep in mind this is excluding Japanese anime, as it deserves its own video. With that said, first up I have two. Technically they are from Asia, but two Chinese movies, which are actually both pretty solid good anime films if you're at all interested. Looks like Disney animation, but it's far more mature. White Snake, which is a classic Chinese legend. Another pretty cool if you're looking for great like 3D special effects and stuff. I do highly recommend, honestly, both these films. With that said, next up, we are going to look at a few interesting films I got actually bundled with some of the Lego games I got in the past, like Lego Star Wars The Empire Strikes Out, which shows Darth Maul return in a rivalry between Darth Maul and Darth Vader, which is hilarious. If you don't believe me, check out the scenes and stuff on YouTube. The only other one that came in a bundle was this: The Adventures of Clutch Powers. And enjoy the music in the background, taking you for a ride. I chose today's music. It comes from Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So with that said, next we're going to look quickly at some other regular DVD, like mini-series or shows. This is one that has a heavy nostalgia factor for me personally. This is actually probably my favorite, like, shorter series of, well, classic Scooby-Doo. For me, the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo is just awesome. I absolutely love it. And they surprisingly, many years later, end up doing a special, like, film release to this, which is interesting. But if you've never checked out, I do recommend, heck, just check out the intro to this show. It's great. Has a bit of a creepiness factor. This is actually perfect to watch during Halloween. With that said, also mention arguably one of the coolest things, one of my favorite things in the collection is this: the complete animated series, all three seasons of Spawn, done by HBO. Definitely a hard R rated animated series, not for families, that's for sure. Still is superb and great, and of course, the great Keith does the voice of course, Spawn Elsimons. Next, unfortunately, I only have physically in box seasons 2 and 3 of Beast Wars. Season 1 is loose, which, and I forgot where I put the case that I keep the loose animated stuff in. Unfortunately, it's somewhere in the closet. But with that said, this was pretty cool. Release spec include at least 2 of the 3 seasons 1 box set. And yeah, found it at Walmart a while back for dirt cheap. Also, many years ago, I got from FYE one of my favorite, and of course, also made by the same people who made Beast Wars. This was the first full ever CG animated TV series by Mainframe Entertainment, based out of Vancouver, Canada. Reboot, which I have a heavy amount of nostalgia for this, as a superb, great series. I do highly recommend to many people out there. If you're interested in checking out more classic animated stuff, I do recommend looking some of this up. Also, some other animated show. Now, I do have loose volume 2 of season 2 and volume 1. I only have season 2 volume 1 physically still, and that is Gargoyles, which is one of my all-time favorite shows. This was the show that got me interested and into studying mythology and got me into religious studies. Theology is such a fascinating, and I love all the myths and legends of different cultures in Gargoyles. Also, Beetlejuice, just unfortunately I only have like season 1, But Beetlejuice, the animated series, was great. Grew up on this, love it. Season 1 only had 13 episodes, so relatively short. Still, it's great, and I really enjoy it. Now, like some of the others, I only have Season 2 Part 2 in box, while the rest is all in regular loose, unfortunately. And yeah, this is G1 Original Transformers. And I love, like, all the head nods and stuff, and the fact it includes a lot of extra content. More stuff from the past needed to do, like how Rhino actually went out of their way for some of this stuff, which I actually really appreciate. I think many old school fans also appreciate. Next up, we have Volume 1 of the original classic DuckTales series from old school Disney during the Michael Eisner era, which I miss that era. And I will actually argue, I think Michael Eisner was probably one of the better former heads of Disney, in my opinion. Also, like, have seasons 1 through, like, 3. Still need to try to track the rest down, but yeah, this is a show from the Disney afternoon that I have a heavy amount of nostalgia for. Adventures of the Gummy Bears. Yes, I'm sure some people have never actually seen or anything, but believe me, I want to say it's way better than it has any right to be. Also, Seasons 1, Season 2, and Season 3 of Batman Beyond. Which, anybody knows me by now knows I absolutely love Batman Beyond. I like it a little bit more than actual Batman the Animated Series. I just like the character of Terry McGinnis, the Jokers, as well as Shriek, Blight, and many other characters. I will forever have a deep connection and appreciation for Batman Beyond. Want to also quickly show a recent pickup I found, at Wally World. Pretty cool. It's the complete series, all 65 episodes of Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, which in total was like 4 seasons long, with many characters like Chip 'n Dale, Monterey Jack. I know some of the names. Also, you have villains like Fat Cat and many others. Like, definitely has a heavy nostalgia for me. This series will forever have a special place for me, and I think many people who grew up in the 90s has a real appreciation for shows like this. Speaking of next, I wanted to quickly share my only 2 VHS movies that I still have anime-wise. This one, I've actually kept sealed. Excuse me. And as you see an old Kmart logo, which is one reason I want to keep it on, as it shows it's from many years ago. Special edition, which include a few things that were taken out of the re-release. And same thing goes for the special edition of The Lion King. This includes a special additional musical number that is not available in the remaster re-release of the movie, which is kind of weird, in my opinion. But still, it's great having a couple of these classic original on good old VHS. Next up, we're going to look at a couple of regular DVDs of Disney anime films of the past, back when I respected Disney. Fox and the Hound 1 and 2 double pack. This was a gift many years ago from actually my aunt and uncle, because they're like old school Disney fans and stuff, and they appreciate a lot of the classic Disney films, and we're always big fans of the Fox and the Hound. So they decide one Christmas to give me this double pack, which is pretty cool, as I'm somebody who appreciates classic animation. Also, a film that surprisingly has gained quite the cult following over the years, The Emperor's New Groove, which is interesting, because originally when it came out, it was a moderate success, but it's weird how as time has gone on, it's become more and more popular. It's kind of weird. Also, of classics, of course, Hercules, which is, of course, a key importance in Kingdom Hearts universe. And you can't beat Hades. He's what makes the movie. And the same thing I can say for Tarzan. What makes Tarzan great was my personal love for a certain musical act who did pretty much all the music, and Phil Collins. Yes, I'm a big lover of like classic Phil Collins music from the Genesis days and even some of his solo stuff. Next up, we're looking at some other animated stuff. Quickly though, we'll change over to Star Wars. First up, you have recent pickup, complete in box, seasons 1 through 5, and also got a bundle the Lost Missions along with it, which is pretty awesome. Also, the final season, which got a release, which I got this as a gift. Sadly, I'm regular DVD, but you can't win them all. And weirdly enough, a while back, because I found clearance, so yeah, I have 2 versions of that, weirdly enough. And sadly, I only have seasons 1 and 2 of Rebels, though still a really good series in my opinion for the most part. It was also great to see Ahsoka make a reappearance in this series along with Awesome Maul. Next up, some more recent stuff. The Babylon 5 animated film, The Road Home, which is really cool, especially if you grew up with the original Babylon 5 series from TNT. It's definitely a nice head nod to the fans. Also, some more recent stuff. Recent air. Of course, Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. 2 supreme, incredible movies that I highly recommend to anyone. Also, the Transformers, the movie. Technically speaking, yeah, this is not actually anime. This was actually done by mostly American studios in Hollywood. So technically speaking, it is not technically an anime. Also, if you love stop motion, I can't recommend highly enough Coraline. Involve, of course, some of the people who created The Nightmare Before Christmas, as it even advertises on the cover. And I will never get over how creepy those other world parents are with the bun eyes. Always freak the crap out of me. Also, from some of the same people, another incredible stop motion film, Kubo and the Two Strings, starring one of the main voice actors in this being Matthew McConaughey, which is a great actor. And I think Matthew McConaughey did a solid job on this. And this is definitely one of the best, I think, modern, definitely stop motion films, in my opinion. Also, it's cool that George Takei, however you want to pronounce, actually was also in it. One of the most recent, of course, the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Awesome, enjoying for fans. Also, not long ago, another classic from the 90s, The Iron Giant, which I highly recommend to more people to check out this film. Also, another great with a positive environmental message, I think also, is Ferngully, though what really did this film justice was who voiced the main villain, and that being the great Tim Curry, is one of the key things that makes this movie great. Then some very recently I found, super cheap, including all four, which I didn't even realize that American Tail had 4 movies. I only knew about the first 2, which I saw both in theatrically, or wait, no, sorry. I only saw Fievel Goes West theatrical. An American Tail I was too young for when it originally came out, which of course involved the great Don Bluth, and also the first film also involved, of course, Steven Spielberg. And I do recommend to anyone who appreciates like 80s and stuff animation, and if you consider yourself a fan of Don Bluth, I highly recommend getting this, as it's very reasonable. Now we're going on to some other stuff. Quickly get out of the way. My DC stuff, as I have an okay amount of this stuff, but let's get out of the way first thing. First thing we have Batman, Bad Blood. Also, Teen Titans, The Judas Contract. Justice League Dark, which is easily one of my favorite animated DC films, bar none. This is great, and though I think it's more of a PG-13 than rated R, but still it is great. I really love getting to see Constantine and other characters in this. I also can't forget Batman, The Killing Joke, which is great. Though I have some issues with the first brief amount of the film before it really gets to the actual Killing Joke part. Also kind of bizarre is Batman Ninja. It's kind of a weird one in my opinion. Definitely not your traditional Batman style, but at least it gives it its own flair and feel. Also, another one of my personal favorites is Justice League versus Teen Titans, as I am a pretty big fan of the original Teen Titans series from the early 2000s. And Raven will always be one of my favorite characters. Also, another good one, Wonder Woman. I actually enjoyed this movie, not as much as some people, but still, it was pretty solid. Also, Justice League Dark, Apocalypse War. This is seriously really good. Surprisingly, both of these Justice League Dark films both end up very solid. Also, easily one of my favorite anime films of all time. It is probably my favorite more modern animated like DC film for me, as it was my favorite film of the year when it came out, Red Sun, which is based on, of course, a comic of an alternate timeline, and Injustice Gods Among Us game actually include like costumes and stuff from this, which I actually appreciate quite a bit. Last on the DC front, we have this, the 80th anniversary, which includes 18 Batman films. And you can pause this if you want. As you see, though, you got Batman Gotham Knight, Year 1, Under Red Hood, Bad Blood, Batman vs. Robin, Son of Batman, Dark Knight Returns 1 and 2, Assault on Arkham, Killing Joke, Batman and Harley Quinn, Gotham by Gaslight, Ninja, Batman Return of the Caped Crusader. Sorry about that. But anyways, Apocalypse or whether Public Enemy Apocalypse. Actually, Public Enemy was pretty solid in my opinion. Then we have the few animated Mortal Kombat movies with Scorpion's Revenge, Battle of the Realms, which is kind of confusing to say the least. A pretty interesting, unique take, I think, on a different timeline, Snowblind, and then the most recent, of course, Mortal Kombat Legends Cage Match, which actually features Ashura, Draman, Moloch, and others. And of course, as you see also there, Shinnok. Now let's get into some of the Disney stuff. First, we're going to look at the CG animated stuff. And then we'll look at the Earth stuff. So with that said, first up on the... First with Pixar, we have Inside Out, which is a classic. As well as WALL-E, one of my personal favorites. As it's pretty deep, actually, in some of its theosophical things it discusses. A Bug's Life, big nostalgia factor. The original Wreck-It Ralph, which is great, has a good heart. Tangled, which is quite funny. An interesting take on Rapunzel. And I love how funny the interactions are, specifically with the horse. Also, probably one of the saddest endings, but one of the greatest heartfelt and great amount of respect for the actual history of Mexican culture, especially with Coco and stuff on like the afterlife and everything involving Day of the Dead. It's just fascinating. I love how colorful and bright everything is, as well as great music, awesome characters, in general just a solid, superb film. Then you have the classic original Toy Story, which is still my personal favorite. Toy Story 2, a lot of people's favorites. For me, though, I actually will argue, I think Toy Story 3 is better than Toy Story 2, but what do I know? And then Toy Story 4, which is better than I was expecting it to be, in all honesty. Also, you have the original classic Frozen. Yeah, Let It Go. For a time there, I'm sure that drove a lot of people crazy, the Let It Go song, but I still love the song, in all honesty. Also, found and picked up for a very good, believe it or not, on clearance. This and the fact also, includes a steel bookcase. But I decided to keep this copy sealed. And this was a Target exclusive, weirdly enough. Now we're getting to a bit more of the classic stuff. Though technically it is part live action, along with also stop motion animation, it is still great. James and the Giant Peach is great film. Heavy nostalgia for that. Also, of course, Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, which is many people one of their favorite films of all time, for a good reason. Also, some I have a very heavy nostalgia for personally is The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Yes, I know. Seriously, really? Yeah, really. This had a heavy amount of nostalgia for me, as when I was a kid and occasionally had to go to daycare and stuff. This was actually some I saw a lot. That was a few other films. Also, want to go classics? Can't look any farther than The Little Mermaid, which is great. All-time classic from '89. Also, can't forget the original classic Aladdin. Or it's the original anime Beauty and the Beast, which will always be one of the greatest animated films of all time. A surprising one I really like a lot, The Princess and the Frog, which is really cool story and interesting characters. I absolutely love the villain using voodoo magic. It's really cool. Last couple we have here, 101 Dalmatians, an all-time great from, I guess, maybe considered the Silver Age or Bronze Age of Disney animation. But still, it is great. 101 Dalmatians, also one of the greatest, one of the very first animated Disney films I ever saw as a kid. Lady and the Tramp. Both great. This was one of the few ones I actually think had a pretty decent live-action adaptation, though the animals did not actually speak or anything, but Glenn Close killed it as Cruella de Vil. Last but not least is the Lion King trilogy, which comes in this really cool special little case, and then comes in this awesome looking drum, and then it's all inside it. But I love that for just decoration and everything is really cool. With that said, I'll get ready to cut this video. Stay safe out there, and I'll see y'all next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel. And I'm going to quickly use this as a thumbnail.